and welcome back. I'm Wesley.
And I'm Danielle.
And thank you for joining us as we document and share our personal journey to achieve financial independence and retire early, travel and explore new destinations, and move abroad.
And you may recall from our last video that we decided to sell our home during the pandemic as a major step towards achieving financial independence and early retirement. In today's video, we will share some of the challenges that we face as Black homeowners with the sale of our home. But before we dive in, please hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can catch our next video.
Yeah, so this is going to be part 2 of our home selling experience and the process we went through. And we have a special guest that's going to be joining us later on. Let's get into it.
So once we decided to sell our home, the first person we called up, of course, was our real estate agent.
Thank you guys
Thank you
for
so
having
much
me.
for joining us.
This is exciting, and I think it's amazing that you're documenting your journey, as a lot of people can benefit from this, and it's my pleasure to be a part of it.
Thank you so much for joining us. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Terrence Ford here, Atlanta native, born and raised. I'm a broker owner here in Atlanta with about 35 agents at the moment under RE/MAX Premier.
Good job.
Staying busy, taking care of things, and one house at a time. So.
Thank you so much for joining us again. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right in. Okay. So, the real estate market has been experiencing rapid growth during the pandemic. And today we have a very unique opportunity to share perspectives of the market from both a seller and a real estate agent vantage point. So I'm going to start with Wesley, who follows the market very closely. So from a seller's perspective, what were your observations of the market and the factors that ultimately influence our decision to sell?
Well, as you know, we bought the home with the intent to, hold it for a few years, understanding that the market is doing pretty good. The area is doing good. There's a lot of development and growth in the area. So we knew that there's going to be a time when we'll have to, cash out on that equity as planned. I think 3 years in was not what we were expecting to do, so soon, but it just happened that I think, and a lot of it had to do with the COVID pandemic, kind of accelerated that process, maybe 15 to 18 months. The timing just felt right, and the pricing as we thought in the neighborhood. We started to see a couple $1 million homes in the neighborhood going on the market and closing. So that was the motivation that got us to that decision, I believe.
Yeah. So during this time, we were watching the market very closely and in touch with Terrence frequently. So Terrence, as an agent, can you briefly walk us through what was occurring and still occurring in Atlanta's real estate market that led to the rising home prices? And then let us know if you have any market projections for 2022.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so upon 2020 hitting in the Atlanta market, a lot of people began to sell out of fear, not knowing what to do. And the second part of that is a lot of people began to work from home where they were rooting. So you had two separate things going. You had some people selling out of fear. You had other people rooting. You also had the third layer of that where people could work anywhere that they wanted to. So you had buyers coming from all over, which created this demand as well. So you encompass all three of those with supply shortages, lumber prices going higher for new construction. It made the resale market just that much more desirable, causing a supply and demand issue where prices have gone higher. In 2020, we saw prices jump as high as 18%. From 2020 to 2021, we are still seeing 14% plus occurring.
And one thing I would like to touch on, we noticed that, there were a lot of home buyers flocking to Atlanta from California and New York.
Right.
So you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. We've had people from Canada calling LA, New York, because a lot of cities Northeast were truly shut down. Job opportunities were limited. The gig economy wasn't moving as well for Uber, Lyft, and things of that nature. So people flock to Atlanta just for that opportunity. From time to time, as I get my car service in Atlanta, I will hop in a Lyft or an Uber just to stay in tune with what people are doing. And people will say, I just moved here 2 weeks ago and I don't know what I'm going to do yet. So I see it firsthand.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's really great insight. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so let's fast forward to listing the home on the market. What were some of the steps we took in terms of prepping our home that, you know, we felt would ensure a fast and competitive offer? And then Terrence, you know, I would like for you to share some of your strategies.
Yeah. So this one was somewhat of this is where the real work started to come into play, because you know we had, you know, in our minds and a really fabulous home, you know, well decorated. Give Forbes and Master a plug here.
Yes.
With great designers, you know. But to list our home, it was very Afrocentric kind of design, you know, some great art.
Lots of black art.
Lots of African American art.
Yeah. If you want to be open-minded, it's really just art.
Yes.
But
Not when the appraisers come in.
yeah, we're gonna get there. But we, you know, to be realistic, we had to wrestle with that and say, you know, that's probably not the best look to be competitive with our sale.
Right.
So we removed all the art, the African art mainly, brought in a stager, you know, to help neutralize the
space. Yeah.
the space.
So the home was placed on the market in July, I think, and it was getting a lot of interest and a lot of traction. And we received the first full price offer within 3 days.
Yes.
I think that's right.
Yes.
And this is where the process, you know, started to go slowly south. And
Wife loved the house.
Yeah.
The realtor wrote a full price offer, sent it over to us. We made one counter offer. Their earnest money was a little low. We made a change, and all of a sudden the husband came back and said that his truck wouldn't fit in the garage, and they decided to pull back out.
Yeah. So that's a lesson learned, right? If you're going to buy a home, make sure both parties are there. So the first offer came in and went just as quick. We kept the house on the market, of course, and it got really slow for a moment there. We had some open houses, right, Terrence?
We had over 40 people come through the house, so it was great. Excuse me, a lot of looky-loos, people just having coffee in the area and reminiscing on how the area has changed. To this day, I have not sold a house from an open house. Once in 18 years. But nonetheless, it does give you feedback, and it does allow you to follow the eye of the buyer and hear what they're saying. To present that back to your seller, or to my seller, you guys in this case. We did a small price adjustment, and we knew that the first buyer loved the house so much that one Sunday morning, Wesley and I were talking about strategy, and it came to me. I said, I'm going to give that agent a call back. And I called her. Long story short, they still love the house, and we went under contract with that buyer.
Appraisal time.
The appraisal
came in 200,000 under.
Yeah.
The appraisal, when it came back, it was just a jaw dropper.
Okay, so what were some of those notable, you know, issues that really stood out with the appraisal?
Well, for me, I know Terrence will have his take on the appraisal, but for me, you know, at first I thought it was maybe a mistake, right? Because the comps, first thing, the comps they were using, you know, it was very old comps. You know, I was not expecting the appraisal to use.
How old were they? Like over a year?
It was over 12 months old, right? And you know, if you understand anything about the market, right? Even 6 months makes a big difference in today's market. But 12 months, it was just ridiculous for them to use that 12-month comp.
And then I think the other egregious thing was the square footage.
Well, with the number of appraisals we went through, eventually you'll find that each appraiser will come back with a different square footage.
And I think for us, our expectation was for the appraiser at a minimum to meet the square footage that's listed on your property record. But in this particular case, he went under that amount. So that was a little disheartening.
So it just was baffling to use 1-year-old comps. to not reference the change in the market and how this particular neighborhood has grown and appreciated year over year. So I thought it was tough.
Yeah.
So after we got the low appraisal, of course, we went back to the bank and we tried to do the rebuttal process.
Can you elaborate a little bit on
Yeah,
that?
really easy. A rebuttal is providing the lender with 2 to 3 or 4 additional comps that may not have been used, and also providing commentary on mistakes that the appraiser has used. We've also done we've done some additional things, such as pay for an independent appraisal on our own.
Yes.
And we also use our relationships with our one of my preferred lenders here in the Atlanta area. They have their own in-house appraisal department, and we sent the contract to them, and their in-house appraiser said that there were no issues. So looking at a complete unbiased view of it, we've had an appraisal department say there were no issues, and we also had a second independent appraisal. So we had 2 items of value in our hands. Where that buyer could have switched lenders and closed, but they used it as a negotiation tactic to try to get a lower price on the home. Unfortunately, that particular buyer, it just did not work out, and they terminated.
That was a puncture to the vessel when we had to terminate. But we knew that we had an amazing home, right? And we knew that the right buyer was still out there and would come along. So we regrouped, put the house back on the market, and I think within 48 hours.
Within 48 hours, we had an agent that had previously shown the house before we went under contract on the first time, and they submitted an offer. It was great. It was a great experience.
So on to the appraisal.
The second appraisal came in $200,000 undervalued as well, or under contract price, and we just didn't. We were like, what and the why?
Why?
So this moment, there was a feeling of being attacked. Why us? Why are other homes in the community selling in record pace, record time with no issues, and we're having these $200,000 lulls? In my 18-year career, I'm not usually, but I will. On the most, I've seen a $40,000 to $60,000 low. I've never seen a $200,000 low. So it was impactful to my career as well to make sure that we saw this through.
So with the second appraisal, we also did a similar rebuttal process. And so how did that go?
Yeah, this appraiser put an entire page of commentary of her opinion of the community and how the home was less than superior to other homes, and it almost felt like she was picking the home apart and picking on the sellers in a way I'd never seen an appraisal done. Yes, you do hear about stories and cases around the country, but here it is in our face, an appraiser talking down on a earth certified, Hedgewood built Glenwood Park beautiful home as if it was trailer park trash.
Like a box home or something.
Just a box home with less than Dow quality.
So we did get submitted our rebuttal.
Yes.
And they decided that they were gonna throw out the first.
We submitted a rebuttal. They agreed with what we said. The bank said, you know what, we're gonna just order a new one, a fresh one. And that was great. We were nervous again at that moment to say, here we go again. But we put a really nice appraisal packet together, showcasing all the details, off-market comps, everything within a mile radius. We even laid out the diagram of the house from other appraisals to make sure that the measurements were correct this time. And I even put a packet of what a Earthcraft certified home is, and so put a 30-page report in there for the appraiser. And
let me ask you: have you done that kind of had to do that over and above extensive effort before?
I've gone to find comps, but I've only gotten an appraiser to move on a $8,000 shift or delta before. I've seen an appraisal be thrown out to get a $40,000 bump, but I've never had this with a $200,000 bump. So this was once.
So we had a steep hill to climb with our pack.
So I'll say going into just making this decision to sell the home, it was something that I was keenly, aware of, and that is, the discrimination that Black homeowners experience in the appraisal process. And so, the decision, as Wesley mentioned, had already, been made early on that all of the, Black art, had to come down. But, after we, had these struggles with the appraisals, we decided to take it, a couple steps further.
Forward. We had to go a step further, right? Let's just throw it out there, right?
Yes.
It was not enough to take the Black art out, the African art, the Afrocentric art, all the designs and
Right.
neutralize the house. That was not enough.
So
right?
we ended up just printing out some random pictures of a Caucasian family, and we placed these pictures. I think there was a total of about 4 pictures, just dispersed throughout the home. And then I was having a conversation with a colleague who also is a real estate investor. And so the moment that I mentioned that we were, having appraisal issues, she said, I will be there. And this is a white colleague. And so, she, was willing to stand in the gap, and she came over to our home and stayed there for the full duration of the appraisal.
I did not know they were going to do those things that they just made.
Yeah. It was intentional to not involve our agent with that strategy, because we knew he was not really gonna be comfortable with it, right?
So what was the outcome?
The outcome is
We got the appraisal a week
5
later.
days. Yeah, 5 days.
days
About
later.
typical turnaround time. 5 days later,
Right.
the appraisal came back at.
Contract price.
It came back at contract price. I'm
Yes.
telling you, we were so excited. At the same time, so disappointed.
Right.
And
the
like,
lengths that we had to go to.
and this is the reality we live in, and it just smacked us in the face, just understanding how they do appraisals. And what we find out is that, they'll always say, well, you would like to come in with an unbiased view. But what you learn is the process is very subjective, right? So there's a lot of bias coming in. It could be from anything. Somebody coming from a different area and just don't like your area, and then they think that your area might be too urban. Right away they're already have a bias to devalue the home because it's an urban setting.
I recommend that, that's something that, you get additional resources on. What would you recommend to learn?
Oh goodness. So one thing that people can do is, yes, you can study up on appraisals. One thing that I love is there's an appraiser company called D.S. Murphy. D as in Donald, S as in Sam. D.S. Murphy and Associates. I love them because, the owner was once head of the Georgia Appraisers Board, so I know he's running his company efficiently. And they offer what's called a rebuttal service, to where if you purchase the appraisal from them initially, and you go on the market, if there is a lower number that comes in or an issue, they will write the rebuttal on your behalf.
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to do that because we didn't think we would have an issue. But nonetheless, we were able to implement some other strategies.
Yeah. We did it, and 5 days later, came back at contract value. We were and the weight just went, whoo!
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So that's our story. And for those people who are looking to purchase in Atlanta market, you can reach Torrance.
You can reach Torrance, Remax Premier GA,
these-
or you could reach out 678-613-5211, and we'll be here for you.
You will not be disappointed.
Thank you.
Wesley, any tips from you?
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell, because we're gonna have lots more content coming your way.
So stay tuned.
All right.